Have you ever played team sports and you've wanted something more than the guy to the right or to the left of you? Nothing's more irritating than wanting something more than the guy to the right or the left of you when you need everybody to buy in. And when somebody's not fully bought into something, it really brings everybody else down and it puts more pressure on you to perform all of that stuff. Well, the encouraging news the Packers get is that everybody is buying in. They're locked in. What do I mean by that? Rashawn Gary had this to say. He says, everybody had a great offseason up until this point, getting back to OTAs, just how we've been locked in on Monday and Thursday, even us meeting on the weekends, having film studies. I feel like we're really locked in as a unit, as a group. Things we didn't do last year up to this point, they are doing to this point. I think that's awesome news as Packer fans out there to hear that you got the Packers all buying in, and Rashawn Gary is saying, "Hey, we're really locked in as a unit." It really helps when you've got a lot of youth, and then you got leaders like Rashawn Gary who are out there working hard, perfecting the craft. Also, he did state that he's been picking some brains across the league, whether it's pass rushers, guys that do their craft very well, even offensive linemen, getting a couple of tells that they like to see from him and what they don't like to see from him, trying to get better at what he's doing there on the football field and being able to talk to some of the top guys around the league, bounce ideas off of each other. That's what he has been using his time this offseason doing as well, which is super encouraging news. And then you've got another pass rusher in Lucas Van Ness, a guy that everybody's got a lot of high expectations for. Brian Gutekunst had a lot of expectations for drafting him when they did. And then last year happened and going into OTAs and off-season activities and training camp, all that stuff, he had these lingering issues, a broken thumb, and then he ended up playing with a cast. And, that's certainly going to hinder what you are capable and able to do out there. So here's what Lucas Van Ness said about that. He said, playing the defensive line with your hands when you're kind of limited using your thumb, a lot of his moves, our moves, he says, are from our thumbs and our hands. And I don't know if anybody of you who's broken a hand or a thumb, but you kind of get a little bit of a mental block, and it's taken him a little time to gain some confidence, again, utilizing his hand to his fullest extent. So that's encouraging news that Van Ness is fully healthy going into OTAs, going into training camp. Being able to really absorb, because anytime you've got that mental block there, it limits what you're able to do and how you're able to perform on the football field. We already had a new defensive coordinator there in Jeff Hafley, and now the Packers, get the new defensive line coach from New England that I'm super excited about. And Kenny Clark said that this dude has been a great addition. He says, I love the confidence that this coach has because he's coached players that have confidence. So when you see a guy that's confident bringing in that swagger, it only makes you more confident and have swagger, and just how he coaches from an individual and how intense he is on the details. That's awesome news to hear also from a guy like Kenny Clark, a veteran Pro Bowler that really struggled last season and looking to get back in true form. And anytime you get a new change of scenery there, it certainly helps your case. He had a very productive 2023 season, probably the best season that he's had yet. He had 7.5 sacks, 16 quarterback hits, 9 tackles for loss. And then 2024 happened. He only had 1 sack, 5 quarterback hits, and 4 tackles for loss. That's a huge night and day difference. So he's looking to bounce back. So you look at Kenny Clark and what his PFF score last season was. It was a 59.3. That's not going to get it done. That's not going to put pressure on the opposing quarterback and be able to stop the run, all of that. Kenny Clark knows he's capable of playing at a higher level, and he's putting in the work, doing what he needs to do. Lucas Van Ness, another guy that just really struggled from an overall score from a PFF perspective, 53.8, just not going to get it done, especially when you're opposite side of a guy like Rashawn Gary, who's able to put up some big numbers. But anytime you got all eyes on you and you're getting double team, it's only going to limit what you're able to do. He still was able to get 8 sacks, 11 assists, one forced fumble, 29 solo tackles. He had a overall PFF score of a 73.8. I'm expecting some big numbers out of Rashawn Gary because I think he's going to have a nice supporting cast there. Packers were able to utilize, their draft picks to the best of their ability to help these guys as well. So you look at what the Packers were able to accomplish last year under Jeff Hafley from a defensive team perspective. Yards per game, they were ranked sixth in the league at allowing 315.6 yards per game. Passing yards per game, they were able to get it done. And mind you, that was, with, Jair Alexander being out a lot, they were better than middle of the pack in pass rushing yards per game. And then rushing, that's huge for the Packers because typically they really, really struggle at that position. They were ranked seventh overall, allowing 99.4, just under 100 yards rushing per game. And then points per game, that's a big stat line right there. And the Packers ranked sixth overall in the league, just behind Minnesota at 19.9. Minnesota was 19.5. That's another huge number. And then you look at sacks for the Packers. Again, they didn't put a ton of pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. They really struggled at that, but they still were ranked eighth overall in total sacks at 45. Okay, so that's not bad. But the Packers clearly had a noticeable need of improvement, and they're certainly putting in the work, which is excellent news for Packer fans out there. Okay, so linebacker rankings. The only reason I know we're talking about defensive line, but I want to talk about linebacker rankings here a second. So, of the top 32 teams in the NFL, Edgerrin Cooper is right up there. Okay, so you're talking about a rookie who's going to be a sophomore this season. So you see right here on the list, Edgerrin Cooper is ranked ninth overall, and it says a hamstring injury may have limited Cooper to just over 500 snaps in his rookie season, but his level of play is just 23 years old, was unremarkable. Okay, so Cooper stands at one of just two linebackers that generated a 74 plus PFF grade in all three major defensive facets: run defense, coverage, pass rush, with the other guy being the second ranked linebacker on here in Zach Bond. So his return from injury was out of this world. He had a 91.3 PFF overall grade from week 15 onward, leading the entire NFL. The sky's the limit for Edgerrin Cooper and what he's able to bring to the defensive field for Jeff Hafley, and that's only going to help the defensive front. That's why I bring up the linebacker position, because that's only going to help the defensive front, them look better when you get good supporting cast, everybody buying in, everybody locking in, like Rashawn Gary said. I'm pumped up. I cannot wait to see what the Packers do from a improvement standpoint, from putting pressure on the quarterback this year. Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.